the Golden Globes, hosted by Seth Meyers, and there was a huge initiative called Time's Up, related to the Me Too movement. And during it, everyone was supposed to wear black to say that, I identify with this movement. And Time's Up was like Time's Up on sexual harassment, Time's Up on every misdeed done by Hollywood in the past. This is a time when the buzzer sounds, and after this, it's a new era. What did you guys think of the show in general? Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Golden Globes, back in black.
No drama, but very inspiring.
Oprah!
2020.
Awards meant nothing this year.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
I actually had the moment this morning of watching the Golden Globes, but then I was like, I didn't actually pay attention to any of the winners. I have to look up what the winners
I had to look them up too.
I watched it and I wasn't resonating to me who won and who lost and who was up for what, except for the Get Out being shut out. The main thing that resonated with me was the speeches. You talked about it, Jason. You talked about Oprah's speech is the one that's like majorly trending this morning.
That's we'll talk about that. But so Seth Meyers? Can we talk about all the elements?
Let's start there. Seth Meyers was the host. He is
boring as hell.
Cisgender white male dude. He said that the people who had to host the next few award shows were watching him like astronauts watch the first dog get shot into space.
Yeah.
Just like, what's that gonna be like? Will it survive?
What I didn't like was how they intentionally had to make jokes about race, and they intentionally had to make jokes about gender. It was like, we get it. Okay, fine, you guys are trying to be PC and bring some levity to the situation. They could have did without that, because I think that was kind of eroding the initiative that was there. Seth Meyers read the teleprompter like this. I'm reading all my jokokes like a deer in headlights.
He does that. That's his shtick.
That's his thing.
That's a shtick.
That's his shtick. And I think the difference between Seth Meyers and other hosts was most palpable for me in the moment where they're like, this person's here. And usually a host will have like a real moment where like Daron Dean's here. And then you'll be like, hey, and then it'll be like that. And it's like everyone's waiting for the joke, but Seth Meyers is more, Daron Dean is here. And the joke begins, that's that.
And I think they placed Oprah because every commercial break was, and coming up, Oprah Winfrey, from the first break to the last break until before she went on.
She's really a national treasure, so I'm not surprised.
I'm here for that. However, I think they put Oprah in the front to inspire whoever was up there, because everyone would be like, so happy to win. And then Oprah.
Oh my gosh, hi Oprah.
She did receive the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement. We'll get to that, but what did you think about Seth Meyers, Grace?
I liked Seth Meyers. I'm a big Seth Meyers fan. I really like his show. It's probably my favorite late night program, and I do like his shtick. I kind of disagree with you, Jason, on how he was bringing up race and gender to the awards ceremony. I think he had to,
right?
Because it was otherwise it would have been like this huge elephant in the room if he didn't address sort of the tone and the culture shift that's going on in Hollywood right now. Whether or not people like some of the jokes, that's subjective. But I think that if he hadn't mentioned it, if he hadn't brought it up, and also brought up how it's sort of it is interesting that like a white cisgender male is the guy that's going to be bringing you through the awards ceremony, and how other awards hosts are going to be looking to him. I think he had to touch on it. He had to talk about it.
Grace, you're absolutely right. The point I was trying to make was just that it felt like every break, every time someone talked, it felt forced. There's a genius and a very good way of bringing light to those issues if they're obligatory, if you have to do it. I just felt as I watched throughout the whole night, it became, all right, it was like Caucasian men making black jokes, not needed, and I understand they have to do it, but and I'm not trying to play the race card, but it just seemed like, okay, we get it, let's move on to something more important.
Well, like as a cis straight white dude, I personally felt like Willem, like that moment with Willem Dafoe. It's just like I don't know what to do right now, and me feeling uncomfortable is probably like appropriate because of how uncomfortable it is being revealed that women and non-cis straight white dudes are in Hollywood, with the fact that this is all Hollywood is run essentially by cis straight white dudes.
I mean, what an interesting shift though. You see a lot of these guys feeling uncomfortable. And remember in the Oscars, however many years back, when Seth MacFarlane did that bit where he was basically naming the actresses in the room whose boobs he had seen from their movies. Bet they felt pretty uncomfortable about that. Now, obviously some of them were in on the joke. Jennifer Lawrence had like that moment. I'm not I'm not trying to drag Seth MacFarlane for it, but it was an interesting shift to see that it was the men in the room that were feeling really uncomfortable.
Natalie Portman just flexed on Hollywood when she says, and now the all-male nominees for this, and then the shade, and when they went to the audience,
it's so weird when the guys would like, well, sorry, there's still like there's white dudes who are winning awards. They go up there and they're like,
okay,
thank you. I work with a lot of strong women who are awesome and they're great. And it was so like eat the popcorn, drink the tea, like fascinating to watch this shift in tone.
The red carpet was not devoid of any drama either. Deborah Messing clapping on E. Poor E. I'm sorry, E.
So many people dunked on E though.
Which I'm glad they did.
So basically, this is where I can trace it back, and I could be wrong. So feel free to correct me, and connect with me in the comment section below. So Amy Schumer, I think, tweeted something out or put something on Instagram, basically saying if you're going to the Golden Globes tonight and you're interviewed by E, you should probably ask them about why Kat Sadler left after she found out that her male co-host was being paid twice her salary for the same amount of work. And a lot of her female counterparts were like, sure, we'll do that. And so Deborah Messing and like you haven't seen this? Deborah Messing?
No, I refuse to watch that.
I'm trying to think of Eva Longoria. I'm trying to think of who else.
So what were their responses then when they were asking?
All that I saw was like like Ryan Seacrest just like holding a microphone.
They couldn't touch on the 10-foot pole, and that's what the New York Times did a fascinating article this morning. Guys, really read it about the fail of Giuliana and Ryan on the red carpet because
I was reading about that too,
they work for E, but yet they didn't know. It goes back to the conversation is now moving from the audience doesn't want to know what you're wearing. Obviously, everyone's wearing black. So
good. It's like uniforms at high schools. Now we're not talking about what everyone's wearing to make other people feel stupid.
So how are you not prepped? The powers that be at E, and I watch E, I like E, but they're the authority on pop culture. How are you not prepped on how to answer these questions on such a important and prolific movement? Right. You know, like no one gives a shit. And then they have their glam bot thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
what was the glam bot?
So the glam bot is this camera setup where it does like a 360 slow-mo of your outfit to show what it looks like from all the angles. So it just made them look really stupid.
Although I do petition that we get that here at Pop Trigger. I want to show off the sneaks. I mean, come on, the people gotta know.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. I'm
it
here
is
for
a
that.
horrible idea. I'll say it. So what about Time's Up? I think that was something that it was a refrain that everybody brought up. Time's Up being like time is up on all this movement. Did that resonate with everyone? Did you feel like that went off correctly?
It did until Selma Hayek tried to she's like 1, 2, 3 times. It was like, no, sorry Selma, you're brilliant. That was not. However, I do think that there were certain people who were able to drive it home, as we'll talk about Oprah. And Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman. There was a lot of people, because it leans on my point of being authentic and genuine in that. You know, we could all sit here and talk about these movements that we're supposed to be supporting, but when you really subscribe and really dive into it and really believe in what you're saying, it sends home for the people that are watching such a more inspiring and really true message. And some of the people that were like Barbara Streisand, nope, fell flat for me too.
Yeah.
You know?
Frances McDormand, though, I think she was great in her authenticity, which was she said, she's kind of notoriously been apolitical and just sort of been outside of the conversation, and then she chimed in and just her presence and the vibes that she was giving out, I thought were really powerful and spoke volumes. And just her ending with like, the women in this room are not here for the food. They're here for the work, and I think ultimately that is what it's coming down for, is that, women wanting to just work and feel safe. Lena Waithe on the red carpet said something just that we're here against homophobia, transphobia, and we're here for anyone that feels unsafe when they're pursuing their dreams. So I think that tonally the show was on point. Yeah, there were a couple, I guess, flops here and there, but I enjoyed it overall, but not for the awards.
Yeah. Let's talk about Oprah. Oprah received the Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement, and you might ask, why is it like she didn't do movies, did she? Ladies and gentlemen, she did a lot of movies. People just know her as a TV star, and I don't know people now what they know Oprah for.
They're about to know her for A Ripple in Time.
For her being a president of the United States, maybe. So she received the Lifetime Achievement Award, and here's a clip of the first minute of her speech, and we'll talk about other things that she said throughout. Listen.
I want to say that I value the press more than ever before as we try to navigate these complicated times, which brings me to this. What I know for sure is that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have. And I'm especially proud and inspired by all the women who have felt strong enough and empowered enough to speak up and share their personal stories. Each of us in this room are celebrated because of the stories that we tell. And this year, we became the story. But it's not just a story affecting the entertainment industry. It's one that transcends any culture, geography, race, religion, politics, or workplace. So I want tonight to express gratitude to all the women who have endured years of abuse and assault because they, like my mother, had children to feed and bills to pay and dreams to pursue.
Holy shit.
And that's just the first minute.
That's like 1 minute. So I don't know if that's the first minute, but it's one minute. That's 1 minute of her longer speech where she talked about people who got, people who were, sexually assaulted, and their people who did it never went to jail. Oh my God. So what are your thoughts on Oprah's speech?
Well, part of my 5 words was inspiring, and her speech especially was so inspiring, and it made me feel so good at the end of it. And I think she has a way to talk about these things, and for me, a lot of it is very, I guess, applicable is the word, to other aspects of your life outside of sexual assault and sexual abuse. I mean, she talks about hard times that we're in right now and the free press, and that doesn't just apply to all these stories that are coming out. That applies to political things, to things that you hear in the news, to all aspects that are, influencing us right now. So I applaud Oprah. I was very, very inspired at the end of her speech, and I just I don't know. I was just like
It's weird for me with Oprah. Like, I see that Oprah 100%.
Right.
I see that Oprah, I think that Oprah. I watched Oprah on the Ellen DeGeneres show the other day, just to add another dimension to this. And she was hawking like Oprah, their oh so good refrigerated or frozen meals. She went home with someone to cook them, and that woman was like, do I put them in the refrigerator or the freezer? And Oprah was like, I don't know, I'm just selling these low-calorie meals with that name on them.
That's the beauty of Oprah, though.
So that's the thing is, my friend Sarah Haskins, she's a great writer, and does so many great things, and she was like, I can be less cynical. Oprah made me cry, I was so happy. And then I was like, I can be less cynical. I thought to myself, but then I went back and watched Chappelle's appearance on Oprah after all that shit. And he's talking about, I felt like I was laundering the money for Hollywood so they could keep the system going, and I wasn't doing anything to change the system. And throughout the show, all Oprah's doing is saying, we'll be right back after these commercials, and ask Dave Chappelle, why did he go crazy? Don't go away. And that's the thing for Oprah, is she is, and should I respect Oprah because she's managed to build this giant empire? Of course I should. But should I be cynical? I don't know. What would fix that part of me not liking that aspect of Oprah?
That internal struggle that you have, Brett, is an internal struggle that many people have. Yeah. I think for myself, I grew up watching Oprah, and just as a personal note, Oprah reminds me of my mother a little bit for some reason. So I think I have I'm so effusive when it comes to Oprah. But she's so relatable. Yeah, so she's built this $1 trillion business. Oprah is a verb. There's Oprah-like things. She has changed the way we view television. And last night, I was a little bit cynical about Oprah too, to full disclosure, because I felt like she was a business. I felt like she was always trying to sell something, always trying to make you subscribe to the book club, the O magazine. But last night, as I was double fisting my craisins, I had a Costco-sized bag, y'all.
That's your podcast.
Just went
double fisting my craisins.
I was moved to tears. Because as you said, Daron, she gave us back hope that even though we always say that we're these hopeful individuals, blah, 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 the last 24 months, I feel like the hope's been stripped from us in some way, shape, or form. Oprah last night she just leveled with us and said so many things that we needed to hear, not because she's Oprah, because she was in the trenches with us at some point in her life. Be it a man, be it a woman, be it anyone who's ever had any kind of injustice or any kind of negative happening to them in this industry or in life in general. She was one of us, and I think we want that. And as cynical as we've become, I think that little kid inside of us is saying, I need a hug. I need something to latch onto. I need some hope.
And she is, she is the American dream. I think she embodies that. And I also think that you sort of have to separate for her when she's a businesswoman and selling that, and that's part of her brand, that's part of her dream that she realized. And when you strip that away, who is she as a person? She does reveal that to us when she makes speeches like this as a good, like pure, hopeful, optimistic person. So that's I think why she resonated with so many different people. I understand.
No.
I understand the cynicism, but you have to just realize that that's the reason why we know her name is because she was ruthless in building her brand. And you got to toss the commercials if you're going to build a brand.
And I don't think you can fault her for that either, because when she shows you the real her, that is her. That's not some carefully crafted thing that she's okay, I need to put this image out. That's actually her.
It's out there.
And she did it all before the time was up.
Well,
that's the
there
kind
was
of
no
shit you
music.
had to do when there was before time was up. Like you had to just freaking do it or it wouldn't get done. All right, fine, you changed me on Oprah. Thank you so much, because it's bothering the shit out of me. I'm like, why am I so cynical and dead inside? And there is a fire relit. All right, that's all the time we have right now to talk about the Golden Globes.